Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Left 4 Dead 2. Let's continue. So,
I'm with you.
again, it's been just a few hours since the last recording and I've kind of forgotten everything that I was doing. Yeah, we were in a parish and this was like way better level design than anything we've seen up until this point. It seems like we're going to get bombed as we try to cross a bridge by the military. It seems like they're almost willing to take this. Just so many zombie bodies.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, that felt scripted. I wonder if it's a case that because they are getting,
Guitar here.
they are bombing, that is causing a bunch of zombies to spawn because of the noise. It definitely feels like there should be a noise back here. I wonder if we're gonna see this fountain used anywhere else. It's kind of a shame though, because this is pretty much the last level and it feels like it should have been the first level. And every level after this point should have had some trees like this, some tables like this, just a whole bunch of elements that seem to be uniquely in the final process. If anything, this feels like this scenario feels like a teaser
Reloading.
to what a potential Left 4 Dead 3 would have been, and we'll have to see if there is a major improvement as far as level design and 3D models in Back 4 Blood. But in a funny way, I think Back 4 Blood also kind of has to start all over again, because while it was made from the same people, or some of the same people that worked on Left 4 Dead, it's been 12 years that everything has to kind of change and be redone for higher resolution graphics. You can't have any of these characters, obviously. You can't have probably any of the textures or 3D models unless they just relicensed them from some third-party texture designer, which they may have, but very possibly didn't.
They can't
Reloading.
because they're in jet planes.
Shut up, Alice.
So, interesting, you could fall down there, or you can go this far. And we can see here the music playing, so the game is bored with us. We're still seeing a lot of repetition. As far as elements. A lot of doors that are missing handles. That concept is pretty bad. There needs to be some other way to address that. The boarded up windows on doors makes a little bit more sense. Interesting how quiet this is for how long this level is.
Hunter.
Yeah, there's still really no way to save yourself from getting smashed by a charger. Yeah. Again, it feels like some of these times when this kind of these things happen, you should be able to take the camera control away and make sure that the player's looking up. So what was in here?
I hear Boomer.
See, and almost certainly that's what this was supposed to be, is that there were supposed to be several planes flying over here. But all I'm hearing is sound effects. I'm not seeing anything. Yeah. Ideally, you would just want something barricading these. A piece of wood over them. That would be easy enough. Just make 3 or 4 different textures of a piece of wood. Why do you even need a silencer in this game? That's an interesting question. It's like,
Everybody grab a weapon.
yeah, it really doesn't make any sense since there really isn't a audio mechanic. Here we have a stage, but it's so dark. We can play the piano. Interesting. A decent amount of destructible environments as far as tables and chairs. I don't like the uncertainty there. That we're uncertain as to whether I summoned the zombie because I played the piano or if that was just a scripted AI director procedurally generated attack. Here's the pool tables. They've made good use of these as models.
Okay, anybody up for a game?
Against a hustler? No thank you.
Is Nick a hustler? I was thinking he was a gangster more than anything. You'd think maybe a pool cue would have been a melee weapon at that point, or a pool stick. Oh wow, they really picked the perfect place to attack you there. See, yeah. It's taken me a little bit longer to think of it, but it would be interesting to have a special infected that was more of a mimic bird type creature, in the sense that it would play back the sounds that would have caused a horde to be interested in you. That way it can train the player as you go along that this is the sound that triggered things. Of course, in all fairness, they need to have something to attract all the zombies to attack at all times, no matter what. So this can't turn into interesting. Seemed like the bombing killed that zombie. They can't have a game where you could potentially just walk around the zombies if you're playing as if you were playing a stealth Metal Gear style game. That just doesn't work. And I think you are better off healing yourself. That way you'll get another health kit.
It's a goddamn maze. Reloading.
There's the last of my fire ammo. But I think that was probably best suited. Feel like we might end up going to more of a sewer area. Guess not. Guess we're just going to more of a house area. They are doing a really good job here of having the game switch around where you're going, though. Assume this is another spawn closet. The concept of the spawn closets, I'm sure they were very proud of it originally, but they are just about the dumbest concept when you realize that nobody else has ever even bothered to do that, and every other game just spawns you at a random spawn point in the middle of an area, and they simply have a mechanism, or at least most games have a mechanism where they despawn any enemies that would be near a spawn point so that you can start your next run without fear of immediately getting attacked. I mean, it would be so easy to simply just spawn in the middle of this room, as long as there's no zombies within a decent distance. I suppose this is supposed to be Atlanta, but it certainly feels like it's a fairly nice part of Atlanta.
Hey, we gotta start that tractor.
Are we just jumping down here? I guess we are. Like that really didn't really feel like there was any other options from that upper.
Reloading.
We'll walk down to save ourselves from taking a little bit of fall damage. There's the tractor, so they are succeeding somewhat in reusing that.
Reloading.
There's a zombie stuck in the middle of the ground. I don't think it can fall down, so I think it's just dead there forever.
Nightstick here.
I don't think I've used the nightstick, so maybe this is the last melee weapon to use. Yep, just got that achievement.
This up just for you.
Thanks a lot. That'll hold me.
And you would think the nightstick, like
Everybody
everything
grab a
else,
weapon.
should be something special. Yeah, this feels like some kind of Mardi Gras float. Which, does that mean they've made their way all the way to Louisiana? I mean, a lot of it would make sense that if this was Louisiana. Okay, so we've got to move the float so that we can get up here. And again, it would probably be helpful if somebody said that or showed that to you.
I'm hitting it. Get ready.
Where is the gargantuan jockey? Where is he? You can see how jittery the characters are as this platform moves, because they don't really have a lot of programming as far as physics going on moving platforms, and why would they really? Like, there's not really been any other moving platforms in the entire game. It would be interesting to see if the zombies would trip on other zombie corpses. It wouldn't be a bad idea.
Reloading. Hey, I'm reloading.
Yeah. Yeah. So then the question is, how do you climb up?
Coach, you should maybe heal.
So you have to run back up here.
Okay, that's gonna last for a bit.
And then you have to run over here. That's a little harder to see than...
Molotov.
Right, well,
Lighten it up. Jockey. Molotov here.
is there any way we can sneak past this witch?
Laser sights here.
Interesting. This is also like the last place that... Where was the laser sights? Did they all take them and leave me with nothing? I swear I think they all took laser sights and left me with nothing. Alright, well...
That hit the spot.
Keep a lookout.
There we go. So I do have a laser sight now. But I can't get it on the handguns. You know what, just throw that down that way.
Pipe bomb.
Quit fussing. I'll heal you.
Yeah, I desperately need healing, but Coach is healing me and he desperately needs healing too. Yeah, is there any real help with the laser sights?
Hey girl, why don't you heal up?
I kind of feel like there isn't. Where am I supposed to be going? I guess you go out this way. So let's get in this hallway and see if they're all just gonna come that direction.
Reloading.
And I wonder if this is a case where maybe the witch has just despawned. Maybe again they decided that there was enough of...
Pills here.
Nope, we still hear the witch.
Reloading. Reloading.
That's saying they let me heal you.
Go!
I think I have to get the combat shotgun because I'm just out of bullets
Everybody
otherwise.
grab a weapon.
There we go. See, that's an example of what I was talking about in the last recording, where they probably should force you to run out of bullets and then give you a different type of gun in that switch. So if you've been using the AK-47, which I mostly have, here we can see that the direction is that way, they should force you to then try something different. Yep. In these rooms that seem to have the respawn sections seem to really just reset it. And I'm gonna try my very best to just kind of run this way and even engage in a little bit of light combat this way so that nobody will try and attack the witch.
Everybody grab a weapon.
And it's fairly easy still to miss even on easy. Which that's probably a good thing.
Smoker!
Wow, just standing in the middle there. I lost my laser sight. I don't think that really matters.
Machete here.
Unless the game is going to
That's better.
make us run into another witch, which it may very well.
We got Molotovs.
See, we're working our way through.
Look out!
Look out now! Throwing a pipe bomb.
Spin him around and shoot him in the back.
Spin him around and shoot him in the back. Is that an actual strategy, or is that just a line of dialogue? What happened? There it is.
Reloading.
So I guess you go this way, you can jump over here, but seemingly you just jump down there, which that definitely feels like there should have been a ladder.
Weapons over here.
Yep.
Reloading.
Definitely feels like there should have been a ladder, or there needs to be like a one-way vertical placement of sliding down like rain gutters or something.
Reloading. There's the bridge. I'm a reload.
Interesting. So this is not anything. It's just areas where more zombies can spawn. Which I think we pretty much know what's gonna happen. Well, no, it's an alternate path. Interesting. We still would have wanted to see a lot more of these alternate paths really embraced as concepts, even if they are just slight.
Let Dr. Nick fix you up.
Even if they're just
Oh, all better now.
slight opportunities for the players to break up in groups of two. We've never seen a opportunity.
Adrenaline shot here.
We've never seen a situation where you could break up into 4 people.
Reloading.
I don't know what a witch is, if there is a witch.
Nightstick here.
So we may be fairly safe, because we may just be hearing a witch.
Boomer. Don't let him spew on you.
And then here's another example of just foggy vision.
Boomer.
One trick they're clearly missing here is assuming their engine can handle it, which it should have been even 12 years ago. It would have been fairly easy to take parts of
Reloading.
other parts of the level or parts of different scenarios and just put them in the far distance, flatten it down so it's not real geometry and it's just an image. There really is no reason for the fog other than maybe a slight artistic argument that they didn't want every single direction you look to look like it has a building in the way.
Reloading.
I would say though,
Doesn't surprise me you're good with a gun.
seeing draw distance fog is much more noticeable to me nowadays
Hey, I'm reloading.
than potentially repetitive buildings, which I would probably never really even notice the repetition. Is this an explosive thing? No. This is crazy though. I thought we were at the last scenario.
Ain't got no time for this shit. Get in here.
Come on.
Holy shit, I think we actually made it.
I suspect in single player in particular, even if the other characters weren't in the room, they would have magically been teleported in the room as long as they were not knocked down and within a relatively short distance. That took about 30 minutes, so maybe this last section will take 30 minutes too.
Before we run across this bridge right toward the people who've been dropping bombs on us, anyone want to talk about a plan B?
Not me.
Okay. All right, let's go.
And when we go up here, is that another area? Or...
Okay.
there might be a decent argument for using a different weapon just to have more bullets. Seems like 2 out of the 3 of these guns are zoomable, and a long bridge does imply to me a thing. Interesting, I just noticed that you can't switch guns while climbing up a ladder, which kind of sucks, but it's not super surprising either. Everybody has an adrenaline shot, which they won't use. And then there's one more health kit, which I guess at a certain point we just heal up
Don't
somebody.
waste this by getting pounced on or something.
Be really crazy if we did end up having to come back this direction.
One time,
Geez,
the
this
Army
site
bombed my buddy Keith. He
wouldn't
went
have been.
camping and didn't bother to read the signs, and I guess they were just testing bombs.
That feels like
day.
that should have been
All sorts
used.
of stuff too, not just regular bombs, like biological nerve gas bombs, shrapnel bombs. These bombs that break up into the air to like 100 smaller bombs.
Ellis, if I listen to this, will this be the last one?
Okay.
So Ellis has like one of these for every scenario, apparently he tells, which is cute. And honestly, I think Ellis might be Keith. Hey.
We're on the bridge.
They sound like soldiers. Somebody talk to him.
Okay.
Somebody gonna pick up the radio?
Yeah, it seems like they're just gonna bomb through this section.
Hello? My name's Nick. There's 4 of us on the west end of the bridge.
Bridge, are you immune?
We are not infected.
Get it, Bridge. Are you immune? Have you encountered the infected?
Yeah, you can say that.
Rescue 7, are you equipped for carriers? Affirmative, propagator. Bridge, we have pulled
How would they know they're immune or not, though?
available on the other end of the bridge. Our last chopper is leaving in 10 minutes. You need to lower the span and get across the bridge. John, be with you.
Roger that. Here we come.
So, yeah, instead of them
Let's lower
being
that bridge.
just nefarious military people, they seem like they're going to actually help now. Are we immune? I mean, we've never seen any of these guys be turned into zombies even in a game over scenario, so I guess you assume that's the case. But who
Well,
knows?
Let's cross the bridge and finally get
You
out
may
of
have
this
only
hell.
like partial resistance, not immunity. Well, although arguably immunity may be partial resistance in every case. This definitely feels like they are doing the same thing as the sacrifice, so it's really weird that the sacrifice is the mission right after this now in the levels.
Right behind you.
Make your way to the helicopter on the other side. You see, this feels like it's pretty much a choke point that would have to open up fairly quickly, otherwise this would get fairly boring. And still, it's really only splitting the bridge in 2 different ways, so...
Reloading.
It's questionable why there's so many zombies on the bridge. Here we have a hole that you can fall to your death down. So that's a single area. I feel what they're trying to do here is have an action finale, kind of boss fight without a boss. Whereas it's not likely to give you a lot of challenge, unless on the higher difficulties in particular, it just throws enough zombies at you that you'll just run out of bullets. Which is believable. And theoretically, as we're getting... Let's see. It's not the gun I want, I guess. So, yeah, they're just gonna give you different guns to mess with. Yeah, Louisiana Naval Shipyard. So I guess we were in Louisiana, and that was Mardi Gras. So I guess the idea is that they did travel fairly far. Is there a path up here, or does this path kind of just end?
Reloading.
I think the path kind of ends fairly quickly.
Take this, you zombie bastard!
Veterans Memorial Bridge.
Reloading!
Did we have to? Did we have to actually cross over? Interesting. I got an achievement for apparently burning the jockey. Here we have a gargantuan. And again, we're barely seeing these planes.
Ammo here.
See, this might be a huge issue here, in which I'm about to die.
Thanks.
Better.
First aid kit here. First aid here.
Hey, Ellis.
You're a mess.
Let's heal
Stand
Ellis. I guess. We lost Rochelle. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this is scripted in such a way that the bridge just keeps on going. There's basically no safety. Like, notice how the spitter goo in particular slows you down and you just cannot really use it or get past it easily. They're now giving us a multiple pass as far as these construction scaffolds, which I'm not sure I've ever seen a construction scaffold used on a bridge. Although, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't exist. We're still just playing the game, so while it is getting slightly more intense, are we anywhere close to the end?
Healing.
I'm totally out of bullets. I don't feel like I wasted a lot. How was I supposed to get up here? I guess you have to climb this. Kind of just need to wait for these guys to decide to catch up with me. Seriously. They've caught up, but they're very much focused around just making themselves stay alive. We're not getting a lot of assistance here. Let's see.
Reloading here.
Like, we desperately need a zombie to drop something.
Chopper looks fixed. Let's go.
Run. I don't even see the helicopter.
Get to the copter. Ammo here.
And see, I don't even have time to wait. So I'm just going to run. Did I go the wrong way? Slightly. Somebody help me. So yeah, not a safe escape, and we're getting to the back of the plane. Three out of 4 is not bad though. They're not really helping you in any way as far as like shooting guns and killing zombies while they're trying to get to the end. And you wouldn't want to bomb a bridge that close to a helicopter. The shrapnel could hit the fan blades fairly easily. They use twice as many first aid kits than anyone else, but half of those were probably to heal other people. So, if anything, I would say that final section of this scenario felt like what you should have experienced in the sacrifice, where you actually get across the bridge, although arguably getting across the bridge or getting on the helicopter, none of it really saves you. We've seen scenario after scenario where you feel like you're saved for half of a second, and then it just starts the next movie or the next scenario, and you're back to zombies being attached. And see, it would be attacking. The only thing that could have been helpful there is that at the end of that specific campaign, if there was a actual if there was an actual improve like cutscene, that's what I mean to say. Yeah, I don't even know what achievements I really unlocked there because they don't feel like they're really in order. So after the parish would be the sacrifice, and did they change the sacrifice? Because, like, otherwise this should just be the sacrifice that we did before in the first game. Slight difference now in that you have...
Hey, Lewis, did I ever mention how I feel about islands?
Come on, Francis, give it a rest.
Same line of dialogue, same characters.
I really hate
I
islands.
seriously doubt any of this has
Insulophobia.
been
I'm afraid of islands.
Are you joking?
No, man, it's a medical condition. Just my goddamn luck.
Well,
interesting.
when we
This
get there,
dialogue sounds
I got your back.
Stupid
does
island.
sound different.
Punk Island.
Dumbass island shithole.
Punk Bitch Island.
So yeah, this looks the same, and the game still wants me to crouch.
I'm gonna need these.
You're gonna want to see this. Pipe bomb over here.
It didn't trigger an attack over here, which seems like that would have happened before. See, in the remake area, this is broken down. So unless that gets broken down by a gargantuan at some point. In the remake of this fence is down. So really all they did was take down some fences in some areas.
If we want to take that boat downriver, we'll need to raise that bridge.
See if the audio plays anything different.
Better grab everything I can.
It does play different things. Magnum Pistol probably would be
Got a
better.
weapon here.
So yeah, you can play this with the crowbars, and that would be insane. I guess we now have more variety in zombies. We're gonna play this again. And see, this was
Get ready. This thing's gonna
fairly
make a racket.
difficult, this scenario before, so I would have to suspect that this is not going to be
Here they come.
particularly easy or with more things happening.
Let's power up this generator. Weapon over here.
Interesting, it puts the
Last one. Let's be careful.
okay. Throw a tank. We're just waiting for this to come down.
Spinner.
As the game is just throwing tanks at us because I'm moving so fast, so maybe in this case it is designed to be winnable, where you can actually survive.
To the bridge. The bridge. Come on, come on, come on.
We activated that. Seems like the bridge moves fairly fast now. Alright. Alright. So, yeah. It's programmed slightly different, but it seems like it
We have to be
plays
getting close.
exactly the same, so... Yeah, I don't see... I'm very confused here as to why these scenarios go this way. Where it's the parish, which is the final action of the original collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenarios for Left 4 Dead 2. Then it is the sacrifice, the final action for Left 4 Dead 1. Then it goes to No Mercy, almost as if they're in some kind of horrific hell nightmare where they're going in circles over and over again. Then it's Crash Course, then it's Death Toll, then it's Dead Air, then it's Blood Harvest, and these all seem like they're in the same order. So that only leaves Coldstream and The Last Stand. I want to see if the developer commentary is worth looking at. We'll just play as a random character through the parish. 5 different sections. Let's do it. Now, the developer commentary in the first game basically stopped the random spawning of special infected, which will probably highlight how little has been improved as far as the regular infected characters.
You got a hell of a boat.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start the developer commentary,
You sure they're gonna be there?
and then I'm going to try and run to the next developer node.
Hi, my name is Gabe Newell, and welcome to Left 4 Dead 2. We love this style of zombie-driven cooperative gameplay. Tom
Yeah, he
Leonard
really
and the rest
is
of the
just
Left 4
a
Dead 2 team
figurehead.
had a great time building on the design and game mechanics of the original, and we hope you have as much fun playing the game as we did making it. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your use key. To stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the use key again. Some commentary nodes may take control of the game in order to show something to you. In these cases, simply press your use key again to stop the commentary. Please let me know what you think after you've had a chance to play Left 4 Dead 2. I can be reached at gaben@valvesoftware.com. I get about 10,000 emails each time we release a game, and while I can't respond to all of them, I do read all of them. Thanks and have fun.
Honestly, that feels like that's just the exact same line of dialogue from the first developer commentary. They just cut off the number 2 for the first game, and that's very possible what happened, that they added the developer commentary like after Left 4 Dead had long since Left 4 Dead 2 had long since been released. So
we did a lot of work in Left 4 Dead 2 to make every campaign unique in terms of flavor and gameplay. This drove our decisions in regard to locale, lighting, population, music, and events. We wanted to create a continuous set of locations proceeding through the South, with the goal of making each location iconic and evocative. We drew up an overall world map of our version of the South and charted out a journey through a variety of locations. While each location has its own particular common zombie types, we further differentiated each campaign by creating uncommon zombies, which are thematically tied to that location. The uncommon zombies also have specific gameplay mechanics that make them unique. In each campaign, the music blended specific elements of the location with the central recurring Left 4 Dead theme. We also designed new elements in each campaign where the director could take control in interesting ways, be it weather, unique paths, or types of crescendo events and finales.
Since players spend the vast majority of their time shooting the common infected, we wanted to improve the feedback and visceral nature of this experience. In Left 4 Dead 1, we provided only the ability to shoot off limbs, with blood decals for bullet hits appearing only on the PC. Now, in Left 4 Dead 2, there are 43 unique ways to damage an infected, from gunfire through melee weapons all the way up to explosive damage. Because many of these wounds are non-fatal, players are able to wound an infected more than once, resulting in about 780 possible damage combinations. To create the appearance of a wound, we project a texture modified by an ellipsoid that culls the pixels of the wounded area from the infected, creating a cavity for the wound to fit into. To avoid memory overhead, instead of creating wound variants for each of the infected, the wounds are spawned as separate objects that work for the entire horde. Our scripting system allows us to spawn specific wounds from specific weapon hits. For example, the sniper rifle headshot explodes the head, and the axe creates a slash across the meaty areas of the body.
Well, I guess if you wanted to kill a lot of zombies, this would probably be the place to do it. That's good. Like, maybe 12 years in the future, you do a lot more body damage, and maybe you have more than 10 times as many possible ways in which you can damage a zombie. But I will say, so far, having played all of Left 4 Dead 2, or almost all of Left 4 Dead 2, I was not feeling like it was lacking as far as bullet damage being depicted, whereas Left 4 Dead 1 did feel fairly lacking. Same is true for the variety of zombies. Like, this looks pretty good. There is a slight problem in that none of the characters have brands on their clothes, and all of their clothes are fairly dark in theme, but that's
the
about
body
it.
piles were generated by tossing self-colliding ragdolls into a level in-game, then exporting out the result. We were able to use a debugging tool to drag them into artistic piles. Content creation at its most enjoyable. Unfortunately, the process was so efficient that it took only about 2 hours.
Yeah, well, that's nice. Although then there's a question why there are no like body piles on the other side of the fence. But I mean, when you see these fences, it does pretty much imply that some percentage of people actually were rescued by CETA, and this isn't a 100% infection that's occurring.
Reloading!
Yeah, just having the spitter not spawn makes this whole thing way better.
The guiding sound design principles in Left 4 Dead, as well as Left 4 Dead 2, were to stay as organic as possible and to reflect the world within which the game takes place. For example, the monsters are all former human beings, grotesquely transformed. And as such, all of their vocalizations are human performances with very little effects processing, if any at all. The challenge with the new character sounds in Left 4 Dead 2 was to keep them clearly audible for gameplay, reasonably believable at unrealistic distances, and clearly identifiable as unique. The existing bosses already used the pitch spectrum for differentiation, so we expanded into more characterizations. The Charger mutters unintelligibly to himself, the Spitter is trying to screech out her bile hairball, and the Jockey, well, who knows what he's on about.
In a funny way, that kind of sounds like they're patting themselves on the back for doing no sound sweetening, as it's called, or the post-process effects, or like for the audio. And arguably, I don't think they really did a great job in differentiating the sounds of the special infected. They did a much worse job with the musical crescendo cues, which that never made any sense to me, but there definitely were times where I wasn't certain if there was a tank about to attack me, or a charger, or a jockey. Smoker is pretty good, Witch is very good, you can definitely recognize that. Spitter is pretty decent.
We wanted to improve the variation on the infected while keeping their memory footprint identical. The entire horde is never comprised of more than 5 head textures and 5 body textures. We use a luminosity lookup into a gradient texture for tinting variation, allowing us to not only get a hue variation, but also a luminosity variation. For example, we can make a black or white t-shirt out of the same texture map. The gradient is broken up into zones, so that we can tint areas of clothing and skin differently. The infected texture also includes 4 distinct masks for blood and detail, such as dirt or pond scum. We randomize both the gradients and the masks each time an infected is spawned. We also randomize the body and head meshes, resulting in nearly 20,000 available variations in a typical map, up more than tenfold from the original Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, and that's noticeable, certainly. And I would definitely applaud that, although 12 years now, you'd expect a lot more than 5 variations at a time. It still feels fairly generic. There's nobody like special looking. You don't see any redheads. You don't see anybody with long flowing hair. You don't really see big variations in body types. You don't have short, weak zombies, or if they do, they're the jockeys. It all seems like it is mostly one body type as far as the men and women.
When deciding what to do about the music for Left 4
still
Dead
feels
2,
like
we
it's
faced some interesting
mostly
challenges. Some of the
men,
music in Left 4 Dead 1
when it
plays an
should be about
iconic and
50-50.
important role in gameplay, and we felt that it shouldn't really be changed. On the other hand, the game is set in the southern United States, which is rich with musical identity, so we also felt that adding some local flavor to each campaign would really help set the tone for that campaign. The solution to bridging the gap between the new local campaign music and the more traditional horror music from the first game was solved in several ways. First, we kept all the original themes from Left 4 Dead 1, but arranged them in a style consistent with the local campaign's theme. Second, we wrote an overarching set of cinematic Southern Goth pieces for the entire game. Finally, we wrote new pieces for the new characters in the style of Left 4 Dead 1. By doing all of this, we established that these are new characters in new places, but they're sharing the experience of everyone else in the Left 4 Dead universe.
I didn't hear any of that. And I don't know how you make that claim when you also have the Portal theme and a joke song. This is definitely a song that should have probably queued in, and you should have definitely run into these running to start with. It would have been a lot more better, interesting environmental storytelling to have some of these already running and have a bunch of zombies already standing around it. Is this... I guess you can just cycle through them. I didn't realize you could do that.
Hey, Tom, it's Bob.
So it was supposed to be 1 or 2 joke songs. And it probably should have been a lot more of the regular ones. And they have a different light that lights up for every song that's playing. Interesting. So getting the green one to play is probably the trickier one. Nope. So the Portal song must not play in every one of those. 4 out of those, or 3 out of those 4 songs definitely should kind of just play. And it wouldn't have hurt, frankly, to have a character, each character have headphones in. Nowadays they would have wireless earbuds in, and then they could just be playing the music as they're enjoying killing killing zombies.
Reloading.
Because that is the direction that this certainly would have to go, is that you would start to find the survivors very adept and actually enjoying killing zombies. They do seem like they
Weapons here!
are very well suited to it.
The infected textures are part hand-painted, part photographic reference. One of our team members had a nightmare folder full of photographs of people suffering from bizarre diseases and injuries. They were so hard to look at that the infected actually contained none of these. Instead, the secret ingredients for infecting normal-looking human textures are photos of housing insulation and potato skins.
Wow, it seems like they traumatized an employee for no reason there as far as infections. And yeah, I get that. Like, real world diseased humans are probably not anywhere close to what people would expect as from what they've seen in movies and other media.
We wanted to invoke the feeling that the infected have lost their humanity and behave like feral animals. Seeing their eyes glow in the dark like those of a deer in headlights helps illustrate this.
They're not
To
glowing.
create that effect, we authored the shader for the infected so that an artist could mark the regions that should reflect light towards the viewer in a texture. The artists quickly realized that they could also use this feature to make retro-reflective safety materials on clothing, which they put to use on several of the uncommon
But the lady
characters.
doesn't have any of
You
that
now see
on.
this effect on riot gear, cedar hazmat suits, and construction vests. As a side benefit, we found that the retro-reflective effect also helped players identify targets in very dark areas.
This game is just like way too dark. And there is a problem certainly in that every single model that they made of a unique infected is a male. The implication, whether you mean to send that signal or not, is that women in this world just do not work in specialized fields. They're only at most maybe dressed as
This
office
restaurant
workers.
was one of the first areas we populated with tables and chairs. In early playtests, a survivor would pop a boomer, and the resulting explosion sent tables and chairs flying everywhere. It was a great effect. We decided to furnish a few more areas like this, so that more players would be likely to experience it at some point in the campaign.
Of course, the problem with that is I only experienced that later on in this one scenario and did not experience it at all in any other scenario. They put that car very much in the way.
The pipe bomb has always been a crowd pleaser, but in Left 4 Dead 1 we were forced to disable ragdolls and jibs and replace them with a blood mist due to performance issues. This time, with a new wound system, a new ragdoll solver and new particle effects, we finally returned to our original vision. The pipe bomb has always been a crowd pleaser, but in Left 4 Dead 1 we were forced to disable ragdolls and jibs and replace them with a blood mist due to performance issues. This time, with a new wound system, a new ragdoll solver and new particle effects, we finally returned to our original vision. The pipe bomb causes visually catastrophic damage to the infected horde, to the delight of gamers and designers alike.
What's funny there is it sounds like he's saying rectal solver, but it's supposed to be ragdoll.
Report unusual behavior.
Shooting zombies would count.
See, yeah, like this music cue, what is that supposed to mean?
Don't forget to close the door.
So yeah, as far as the first scenario, developer commentary, not too bad, but I do have to certainly highlight a problem around the idea of having the developer commentary play out on what is, I think, probably the best scenario for Left 4 Dead 2, but also the last, where it would make a lot more sense if it had just been developer commentary on Dead Center, or even better, that the parish was the first scenario. Like, honestly, you could have had the passing play where the parish was, and then move those two around, since those are very similar scenarios anyways. So what we're gonna do is, we've probably got, I'd say, at least 3 more hours of gameplay, which we'll do cold stream to see if there's any big difference in this scenario, and then we'll do the Last Stand to see what the Last Stand was as a Left 4 Dead 1 scenario. I don't think there's really any reason to try and check out even the final scenarios or sections of these Left 4 Dead 1 scenarios. Like, Crash Course is the one where we got you escape in the reinforced truck car. It's kind of a box truck. Death Toll is where you get to the boathouse. And I guess the big scenario in Death Toll is the church section, which that definitely highlights that there should have been a scenario both in Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 where you spend a significant amount of time near a cemetery and near creepier places. There's just like no scariness in any of these. Dead Air, obviously, you're on the runway of the airplanes. Blood Harvest, you're in the farmhouse. And there's a whole train section, so yeah, we could have expanded on Blood Harvest quite a bit. There was that first chapter where you were just in a linear wood scenario, and then some other fairly linear paths. And then we don't know about Coldstream or the Last Stand. So yeah, we'll do those last two scenarios, and then we'll try and finish the developer commentary. As far as other gameplay scenarios or other gameplay things, we'll try survival. We kind of know what it is, but we might try it, but we'll keep that as our backup option. Scavenge, I think, would be the thing that we would want to try before then, and versus before Scavenge. The way this menu rotates is a little bit bad because there's one thing too many. So if you're on campaign, far right is survival. So survival at this point, far right should be campaign again, but it isn't. It's versus survival, then scavenge, then campaign again, which tells you that there's literally only 2 images that didn't fit into this, which if you had just gotten rid of the versus and the versus survival, there would have been enough room instead of breaking those out. So just have versus pop up a sub menu to versus realism, or have realism pop up a sub menu to realism versus. Yep. In fact, the whole system is fairly confused even on top of that, because campaign, then mutation, and realism are actually modifiers of campaign, and versus is a separate game, and then versus realism should be a submenu over here. So it's not even in the right place, because versus is actually versus the campaign, so it should say play campaign, then versus, then mutation, then realism versus, then survival versus. And then you have to ask the question, why is scavenge not considered scavenge versus? Probably because there's really no way to do that. And I could certainly show achievements here and just highlight that we've gotten 13 out of 101, so there's no way we're really going to get that done. And while I will say, particularly the parish is a massive improvement for 1 year of development difference, Back for Blood, it's got to do way better. Probably more than 12 years of worth of improvement, frankly, because you have Dead Island and then its spiritual successor, Dying Light. You have, even when this game came out, you had Resident Evil 4 to compare a game like this to, but now you also have Resident Evil 5, 6, 7, and 8. I believe 8 is out. Yeah, I think Resident Evil Village is 8. So there's massive comparisons that will be made to Back for Blood for that. Also, the remakes of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 will be comparisons to this. So you arguably have a lot of competition for these types of games, and that's not even to say how many things at 2021 E3, how many games were announced that were Left 4 Dead clones. Before Back for Blood has even come out, there have been 2 other AAA games, at least they seem like AAA games, that are going to directly compete. And so if even one of those is good enough to pull half of your online audience, the whole gameplay multiplayer focused concept falls out the window very quickly. And certainly I am in a weird position, and I know I'm droning on here, but I definitely do want something different as somebody who doesn't like to play multiplayer games than what I think the main audience was, or at least the target audience was for Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Like, clearly this is a game targeted to people, more of the Halo players and the multiplayer players, Call of Duty, Battlefield type players, or even, I guess more accurately, the Counter-Strike Go players, which you're really not going to cannibalize much of the Counter-Strike Go audience, because people who are playing that like in 2021 are never going to stop playing it no matter what. And Gabe Newell is actually included in the group of people who are still playing Counter-Strike Go, last I heard. But yeah, I definitely would want something that was more single player focused, more horror focused, or at least had some kind of gameplay action adventure mechanic to it. I definitely would like to see there be a set number and set spawn locations for zombies, a stealth sections. Not the whole game shouldn't be stealth, but there should be some sections where you can do stealth. There should be also action sections where you are attacked by massive amounts of people, but those should be finely tuned and tweaked and not procedurally generated. I don't like playing with the 3 AI characters, but there's really no way to play this game as it is programmed to play without them, even though there is a mutation that pretends like you could play without them. I don't like that the AI characters are fairly useless in that they startle the witch and don't pick up grenades and don't throw grenades. All of those things get fixed if you can get 3 other players, human players, to play with you. But as people get older you tend to not have the same schedules or the same amount of free time. So that kind of makes multiplayer games like this more targeted to the 16 and 17-year-old crowd, even though this is almost certainly a rated M for mature game, than it does for a 22, 25-year-old crowd, where people are starting to work jobs and have families and have other commitments. Anyways, I don't want to drone on too much any further, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.